So for today's installment of 2-Minute Tuesday, we're going to talk about the third essential document, which is a last will and testament. Probably the document that people are most familiar with, and it is the document that's going to control what happens to your assets when you pass away. It's also going to give you the opportunity to name who should be in charge of your estate, who should be in charge of winding down your earthly affairs. This is the person that's going to be known as an executor or an executrix, and they're going to be required to pay debts and expenses, and most importantly, carry out the wishes and desires that you set forth in your last will and testament. So it's a very important job, and it can be a lot of work for that person. Now, your last will and testament is also going to say what happens to your assets, where they're supposed to go, whether that's to charities or to people, loved ones, family. That is entirely up to you. The world is your oyster in that regard. And it's also going to provide an opportunity for you to say how those things should be managed, if those items need to be managed longer term or more specifically. And so what I mean by that is sometimes we might have a child who needs some money management assistance. Sometimes we might have a spouse who we know is ailing, and we need to provide for them as they move through their life after your passing. Sometimes, on a happier note, we might have pets that we want to provide for and take care of, and we'll certainly be talking about them more later. But all of those things, providing for management of funds after you leave us, are accomplished through trust in your will, testamentary trust. So when we talk about wills, we have to think about who's going to be in charge, who's going to receive the assets, and whether the recipients of those assets need any assistance managing them in the long term. Now, some things are not going to be controlled by your will, and those are those two considerations that we talked about in the initial video of our 2-Minute Tuesday series, and those things might be life insurance, annuities, transfer and death accounts. So we're going to talk about those more in our next segment, but please understand that a will only controls the things that are in your name alone, and there might be other assets that you own that we have to think about as part of your larger estate plan.